Well, hello, hello, hello to everybody here. It's Teresa Sanderson. As always, very excited to connect with you. And we're here today for another episode of the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. We have a wonderful guest with us today. Her name is Janine Kelbach. Janine, I want to take a second and just welcome you to the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
I love it. I love it. So, for those of you who don't know Janine, she has a business called Savvy Nurse Writer or Write RN, and she does content marketing for healthcare companies. And for Savvy Nurse Writer, she has courses and resources for nurses who want to become freelance writers. Pretty awesome. So we are always looking for opportunities for nurse entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. So a little more about Janine. She is a mother of two boys. She also has a Great Dane. And she is an educator and the author of two books, Entrepreneurs, 30 plus nurses turn into business owners and share their secrets to success, and Savvy Nurse Writer, a nurse's blueprint for starting a profitable freelance health writing business. Welcome, Janine, and thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is so exciting. And before we really dive into what you're doing these days, tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about, the kind of nursing you did when you first started out, I'm sure, and the kind of environments that you worked in and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I started my journey as a nurse. Actually, I started as an aide before I was a nurse. I've always been in OB. That has been my forte. I was told in nursing school, you need to go to med surg. No, I knew where I wanted to be. And I was actually even a volunteer before I was an aide in that unit. So I
Wow.
knew I wanted to be there. And so I went to nursing school, did all the things, had my son and stayed local. So I stayed at my little community hospital. But when I did clinicals, I knew I wanted to expand and be at a tertiary center. But my son was a year old when I graduated, and I couldn't yet. So
Yeah.
finally, I got over that fear, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. So I went to the downtown hospital, quickly became charge nurse, preceptor, moved from postpartum downtown to labor and delivery downtown. Then I was charge over there. And then I got offered, because I stayed PRN at the sister hospital. So I got offered a assistant nurse manager position. And we actually got a new hospital, like a whole new building, same hospital, but the other one was so old, they tore it down and built a new one. So they wanted me to
Wow.
come in and help with that. So did that, did all of the things in OB from preceptor to then I took a position as educator. So I got my certification, I got my bachelor's, all the things.
Love it.
And then I was like, now what? So it's like I was always bored. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's wrong with me. But it was something that I knew I loved what I did, and I was starting to get burned out because I was always that person they'd call and I'd always go in. They'd always ask me to do more. I'd take it home with me. So there was just a lot, and I was on night shift, so I was exhausted all the time. Then I got offered an opportunity to do home care in the maternal child health population. So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I would go to houses in really bad parts of Cleveland and help those women through their pregnancies. I give them progesterone injections weekly. So I
Wow.
got to really know these women,
Hmm.
loved it until I got mauled by someone's pit bull. That wasn't fun at all. And then
Oh.
that same week, they decreased our pay to like a quarter of what we were making. And I'm not
Oh
all
my
about the money
gosh.
by any means, but that was to a point I was like, something's telling me I need to do something different. So
Yeah.
sometimes I need those big moments of, getting eaten by a dog to realize that. So
Let's hope it
what I
doesn't take
love,
everybody that, but
I
golly.
think like everything you do, you have to come away with something from it, right? It wasn't just the
Exactly.
injuries I had from this mean dog, but I did find out that I really enjoyed working on my own. And I never needed anyone to say, Janine, go do this, go do that. I always knew. I was always that like go-to nurse. I was always that one who just was there but knew what needed done and would do it,
Yeah.
and sometimes and do it with a smile. I was always happy to be at work, and I love my coworkers, and I try to always make it like a happy environment. So doing that work on my own through the home care agency, I only had to call the center if I needed something. I didn't really need anything. You know, there's issues,
Awesome.
social issues here and
Hmm.
there that I would need stuff. But other than that, so then I figured out, okay, well, what can I do from home? Because now, mind you, I have a little baby and I have a 7-year old who needed me and they needed me at home. My husband was a banker, he worked 9 to 5. So
Yeah.
I had to figure out something. And I was always creative. So I was like everybody probably went on Google and was like, what can a nurse do from home?
Love it.
And I always feel like there's the 3 F's that go into like entrepreneurship. It's like you do it for family, you do it for flexibility, or you do it for financial
Yep.
reasons. And
Mhm.
there's all reasons at different times of my business that I was doing my own business. That first one though was absolutely family. So how can I have my family around me a little bit more? Let's figure this out. What can a nurse do from home? I
Wow.
didn't even necessarily
Hmm.
have to enjoy it. I just needed to be home. So
Yeah.
I saw freelance writing like throughout the, Google research, but it wasn't for nursing. It wasn't
Right.
even directed towards nursing at all. It was like moms who wrote. And I was like, oh, I'm a mom. I'm in that
Yeah.
new baby mindset. I'm a mom. I can write. So
Yeah.
then I joined this Facebook group, and these women were like, that's so cool that you're a mom too, but you're a nurse. Why are you here? You should be doing more medical stuff and health. Like we would trust your opinions and
Yeah.
whatnot as a nurse. And I'm like, well, okay, let's try and do this. So my first client was Healthline, back when Healthline was a little smaller.
Wow.
And
No kidding.
I was able to, review a lot of their medical topics and write a lot of topics. And I was like, wow, I
Awesome.
really like this. Then I realized over time that other nurses wanted to do this. So how could I help them? And that's how Savvy Nurse Writer began, was I started helping other people do it because I don't like to gatekeep anything. If I'm doing it, I want other people to benefit from things as well.
Oh my gosh. I just love that story. And I love that, we're very aligned in what we've done. My whole thing with my nursing continuing ed business is I'm not the only one who can do this, right? Everybody can do this,
Yes.
and we need many more voices doing it. So I just love that you built a business around what you personally enjoy doing and found success in. And now you're willing to share that abundance with everyone else. And I want to applaud you for that because I
Thank
believe,
you.
in nursing, we have so much of there tends to be, and the nurses eat their young kind of mindset, right? All of this scarcity that if I have this gift and talent, I should be the one,
Mhm.
right? Whereas the nurses feed their young philosophy is, hey, there's room enough for all of us. There's room
Yes.
enough for all of us to be successful. So love what you're doing. And you just kind of naturally fell into it too. You found a need, you filled it, and poof, there you go.
I wish it was poof. I wish
Well,
I
poof, a
think
few
people
years and
I think people thought it was poof. Like I
yeah,
think over time, like people who
I
I
love
used to
that.
work
Yeah.
with, I think they just go, oh, she's lucky. It's like
Y-
it's not
Yeah.
luck. It's a lot of
Yeah.
hard work. But if you do and I failed so
I
many
love
times,
that.
there's so many things you mess up, and that's the other thing is like I created my program and everything for nurses so that you didn't have to fail as many times as I did. You didn't have to try and find the next right step. It was just
Yep.
always right in front of you.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I enjoy the most is like people are like, I don't know how to start, or I don't
Yeah.
know what to do now that I have this my LinkedIn profile optimized. Well, now what? And I'm like
Yeah.
in there, well, now do this. Well, now do that. And it's
Yeah.
like, gosh, if I just had that at the beginning, it would have been so much easier.
Right. Right. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I think people probably say poof, about me too. And
Poof.
it's like, well, those last 10
I
years,
love
you,
that.
you didn't really see those.
Exactly.
So yeah. So thank you
Exactly.
for catching me in that. That's funny. I wish it was.
Should be the highlight of this episode.
I love
Poof,
that. I love it. Yeah. Poof. I'm a success
poof,
now.
entrepreneur.
Oh gosh. So tell us, we've talked about your writing and that kind of thing. So I know that you serve your clients through doing medical content writing. What else are you doing? It looks like you have two tracks, Savvy Writer
Right?
or Savvy Nurse Writer and then Write RN. Tell us about that.
Yeah, apparently I got bored again. So I was like, I had Write RN when I first started my business, right? So it was Write RN, come to Janine, write content. I like writing about pregnancy, maternal health, blah, blah, blah. But then over time, I started to coach those other nurses to do the things that I was doing. Then I
Yeah.
realized that I enjoyed that. So I made it like a cohort where we had a few nurses going along the same track. And then we turned it into a course. And then I had the podcast and blah, 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 that side of the business.
Wow.
The
Mm-hmm.
other side, right RN, still was that. I was still doing my writing on the side, trying to, and I actually had enough revenue that I could quit my full-time job, but I'm not one of these people that could just like cut the cord. I was always scared.
Sure.
Hence the reason, like I even went to the tertiary center, kept my PRN job, went back to the other job, kept that PRN job. Like I'm like not a huge risk taker. I'm very
Yeah.
cautious.
Yep.
And so long story short, so what happened was this whole thing called the pandemic hit. And at that
Oh,
time, I was the educator to sister hospitals. So my hours were kind of flexible, which was nice because I try and hit day shift and night shift. And then I still have my freelance business. So my freelance business basically was generating full-time income. And then I had
mhm.
my job that was giving me benefits and stuff because I was so scared that I couldn't somehow get benefits, which you can't totally can, everyone, by the way.
Right, right.
And
Yep.
so nobody gave me that permission. No one said, Janine, you can still get healthcare benefits. And I was always told that, oh, it's skyrocketed towards the benefits you get at the hospital. I'm like,
Yeah.
our benefits were terrible at the hospital. So actually what I have now is better. But anyway, it is a little more
Yep.
costly, but not enough for me not to quit my job. So
Right. I love
pandemic
that.
hits,
Yeah.
and then they're like, so I have these sister hospitals, educator nurses are crying every day. They don't know what's going to happen next. Patients are
Yeah.
crying. Everyone's upset because our rules are changing day in, day out because they had to. I was on
Mhm.
all these committees. And so now this is like becoming a full-time job. So I have these two full-time jobs. And then they say, Janine, please homeschool your children. And I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God, Janine can't do it all. So I was like, something has to give here.
yeah.
And it wasn't going to be the business that I built to this point now from
Yeah.
2013 to 2020. And I was like, okay, I can't also, but oh my God, the nursing guilt of leaving during a pandemic.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do that. So I did go PRN back in staffing and kept that, did the homeschooling and kept my business. Well, then at that time, I was
Wow.
also like, I'm keeping my business, but I can't handle all this work. Hey, nurses I coached before, do you
Yeah.
guys have some time to take this on? And I'm, oh, yeah, of course, give me work. I don't need to
Yeah.
find clients, give me work. So I did that. Well, then that gave me like a little
There
spark
you
of,
go.
okay, well, if Rachel can do cardiac stuff, because I would have people reach out to me, Melissa can do oncology, we can
Mhm.
make something out of this, and we can make nurses the go-to source for writing and in subject matter experts in all these different areas. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of how it grew. So now my solopreneur business is now what's called an agency, where
Yeah.
we have a pool of like 150 writers. And I now have more people on my team. We have an internal editor. We have some assistants, two assistants, Cheryl and
Fantastic.
Shane, and they help me coordinate and project manage and whatnot. So now we work with big companies
Hmm.
that want nurses to write their content because they know we will find evidence-based medicine. They know that we're the go-to in our industry.
Yeah.
So we're keeping up to date on our professional journals. We're keeping up to date with our just anything, all standard of care changes. So
Right.
that's where it is now. And it's,
Wow.
I could never have predicted this, 5
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because people are always like, well, make your 5-year plan. I'm like, I don't even know what's going to happen in a year. I'm like, I want to, trust me, I'm a planner. But to say like, I don't know where it's going, and that's okay to just
Uh-huh.
kind of do good at what you're doing, and your path will kind of show its light as you go on.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, I am just thrilled to hear your story, and I love hearing about your success. And mostly what I love about your story is your willingness and openness to create opportunities for other nurses who, I mean, let's just face it, nursing is tough. It is a wonderful career. I've been in it for more than 30
Yes.
years, but it doesn't come without its share of challenges. And those challenges
Mhm.
include things like whether or not you get to kiss your children goodnight, or whether or not you spend Christmas at home. I mean, I don't think people generally weigh those decisions, but those are huge things in the heart of a nurse, right? And
Especially when you do it for 15 years.
oh
It's not
my
just one
goodness.
time you miss Christmas, it's every other
Right.
Christmas.
Right,
It's
exactly,
it adds up.
exactly. Yeah, and so I think, now more than ever, nurses need more opportunities. And I love that writing is also a creative outlet. Talk about a beautiful way, to back away from burnout by being able to use the creative part of your brain, not just the scientific, not just that knowledge base, but also be creative with things. And that in itself can eliminate a lot of stress and burnout. So I absolutely love what you're doing, girlfriend. I'm so glad we got
Thank
together
you.
today.
Me too. Me
Now,
too.
I know we're running a little low on time. So, what I would like to do now, Janine, is just give you the floor because I want you to share with our listeners and viewers how they can connect with you, how they can learn more about your courses, your offerings, how you support other nurses who are interested in getting into writing.
Sure. So easy. Just go to savvynursewriter.com. That is everything you need. But I'll talk to you guys. We have a nurses, writers, procrastinators roadmap to freelance success. It's totally free. Just sign up on the website. But
Oh,
then there's also, because I don't want to, like I said, I don't like gatekeeping anything. And I want nurses to get value out of anything that they're putting money into.
mhm.
So I'm not going to ask you for money. What we do is we give you a 30-day trial to everything in our membership so that you can say, this is for me or this is not for me, because it's not for everybody.
Mhm.
What I love is that our membership includes a writing course. So for those of you that are like, I haven't wrote anything since nursing school, I don't even know if I am a good writer. We have like a course in there for that. And from that course, you get 5 samples that are edited and you learn from, and now you have a portfolio building. And then
Wow.
you have the writing course to create your business. So that's the one I teach, that you have everything you need to start your own freelance business. Plus, you get writing leads list, which is compiled every week from all different areas of the internet: Indeed,
Mhm.
ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Google. We take all those writing jobs that are for medical writers or health writers and we put them into one list for you. And you're
Wow.
able to apply to these if you want. You don't have to, nothing, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And then we also have a job board for WriteRN. So you can become one of our vetted writers if you want to. You don't have to. And
Yeah.
then there's so many other things in between there. We have a big community. We have guest workshops. We have master classes once a month. So like this
Wow.
past one, we talked about like your specialty in writing and your specialty in the types of writing you're going to do, and how to build that. People loved it. So yeah, come just join us. Check it out if it's something you're interested in. I'm very authentic. I'm an open book, so you can always ask any questions. And yeah, we kind of keep it as lighthearted as possible because there's enough scams out there, and we're not one of them.
Well, I absolutely love that. I think that is really beautiful. And so they just go to savvynursewriter.com.
That's it.
Simple enough, simple enough. So, Janine, I want to thank you again for sharing just, the wisdom that you have um, developed and experienced over the last several years as you've developed this business. I just think it's
Thank
an
you.
incredible thing that you've done. Yeah, yeah, hats off. I celebrate you and I want to thank you for being a part of the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight and for opening doors for other nurses in need. So thank you again for that.
Well, let me know if there's ever anything I could do for you in the
Oh,
future.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. And to all of our listeners and viewers, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe if you're catching us on the Dare to Do Nursing Differently podcast. Hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time on another episode of the Nurse Entrepreneur Spotlight. Bye for now.